Hey Taurus, this is Mimi with Divination by Mimi. Welcome to your August 2017 astrology, tarot card, and oracle reading if necessary. There's a lot going on astrologically, so first I'm going to go over what's happening for you personally. Your ruling planet is Venus. Venus at the beginning of the month will be in Cancer, right at 0 degrees. So Cancer and Venus are very good friends. It's a very nice connection of energy to have Venus in the sign of Cancer. Cancer being about home, and Taurus is very much about home too. Home and family, kids, relationships, and Venus loves this. This is Venus to a T, value, home, beauty, relationships. That's all about the goddess of love, right? Your planet will move into the sign of Leo on the 27th of August. But for the most, and that's more of a hot, passionate energy. But in terms of love and family and the solidity of relationships, while it's in Cancer, you'll be enjoying that energy in a stable, peaceful, fluid kind of way. So that's really basically what's impacting you, with the exception, of course, that the moon's going to be going through your sign at some point during the month. Let's get into some of the aspects that are affecting all of us, including you. Firstly, Mercury goes retrograde on the 12th of August. This happens while it's in the sign of Virgo. Mercury going retrograde through, just to let you know, it's from August 12th through September the 5th. With Mercury retrograde, I'm sure that you've heard a lot of the warnings about it. So expect mechanical breakdowns, communication breakdowns, things like that. So I'll reiterate some of those. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Therefore, if Mercury is in retrograde, communication may not be clear. So you communicating to others may not be clear. Things that you intend to mean may not come across that way. And by that same token, the same in reverse. Your friends might be communicating to you in a way that you think that's fucking rude, but actually it's being misinterpreted, not because you've got it wrong or not because they've said it wrong, but Mercury, it's because of that, the cloud cover over the information. With that said, consider it, particularly with internet communication, text communication, because it's so fast. It's not writing it out or saying it. It's so fast. Again, consider the fact that things may not come across clearly, that all the information may not be present, or people may not even be perceiving the information clearly. Again, there's cloud cover. Speaking of the internet, there could be mechanical breakdowns. So the ability to communicate could be hindered by mechanical breakdowns involving the internet. Also, mechanical breakdowns could be affecting things like your car, appliances, things like that. The other thing to look out for is making any contractual obligations between the 12th of August and the 5th of September that will impact you for the next few years. Mainly because of this cloud cover. There's not going to be clear information in whatever contract you're signing. Either you won't be absorbing it, or it will not have been communicated clearly, or it will become garbled in your understanding of it. Again, nothing to do with you or the person who wrote the contract. Everything to do with the fact that there's this cloud cover over communication. Okay? So the information in the contract may not be clear, or it may not be released in full, or it may not be easily understood or worded in such a way that it's confusing. And the instinct might be to just sign and move on just because you're in a hurry. Try not to do that. So if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can't avoid it, make sure you read, check and read, and then ask questions if something's unclear, because likely it is. All right, enough with Mercury. There's two big lunations occurring. The first is a partial lunar eclipse. This happens in the sign 15 degrees of Aquarius. Let's see, the time frames for this are, time during the day are, hold on, there it is, okay. So the moon goes full at 2:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 17th. That's a Monday. It's not 17th, I apologize, the 7th of August on a Monday. Then the lunar eclipse happens 10 minutes later at 2:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also on the 7th of August, Monday. This happens at 15 degrees of Aquarius, which makes sense because the sun is across the natal chart in Leo. Okay? This has some nice aspects. So on the 7th, the moon is making a trine, which trine is a very harmonious aspect. It's making a very lovely trine with Jupiter that evening. Okay, so this generally means that intuition, anything that has to do with the moon, which is usually feelings, emotions, intuition, compassion, things like this, is amplified, right? Those things that we like, those feelings that we like, are amplified in the sign of, with a planet associated with it, with the trine of Jupiter. Jupiter is an expansive energy, and Jupiter is in Libra. So really this has to do with relationships going really, really well, with love, family, interpersonal relationships being very positive. So enjoy that energy. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 7th of August. Did I say that right? Was it 7:06 p.m.? Yeah. All right. Then the final one that there's a few other aspects that are happening, there's a lot of planets in retrograde, but the big one is the solar eclipse on the 21st. So on the 21st of August at, there we go. The moon goes new at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 21st of August. Again, another Monday. The solar eclipse happens 5 minutes prior to that in the sign of Leo. In fact, all of this is occurring at 28 degrees and 53 seconds of Leo, the very end of Leo. Why is this important? Well, firstly, solar eclipses, or eclipses generally, make whatever energy is happening supersized, twice as big, twice as impactful. Big things happen for eclipses, okay? And there are a lot of aspects that are already set up on our collective natal chart, right, as a collective soul, that is rife for changes in a positive way. With the eclipse happening, it just makes it bigger, better, faster. All right, so let's get into the aspects. The sun is in Leo, at the very end of Leo. Also in Leo is the North Node. Also in Leo is Mars. Mars is a fast-moving warrior energy, a positive energy, fiery energy. Leo is a fiery energy. The North Node is in Leo, and the Sun of fire energy is in Leo. So everything that has to do with all the aspects that are occurring with the solar eclipse is very highly energized by fire. One of the aspects that's occurring is important for laying the groundwork. It's a trine, and it's a very positive aspect, a harmonious trine between the moon and Saturn. So when I think of the moon, I think of intuition, again, like I talked about earlier with the Jupiter trine. Emotions, intuition, compassion, the subconscious, feelings, things like that, gut feelings, not always intellect, feelings. It's making a positive aspect with Saturn. The Saturn is also in retrograde, which means Saturn, when I think of Saturn, I think of the law, I think of government, I think of the IRS, I think of the army. Tried and true, what we would consider stable institutions. Already Saturn being in retrograde is reconsidering how things have always been done, how the law has always been written, and whether it still serves humanity. Because despite its difficultness, Saturn is still about serving humanity. With the moon making this trine, it's almost like the moon is softening or hugging or holding the hand or buttering up Saturn. So I've been using this analogy. Think of Saturn as the crotchety old man on the corner saying, "Hey kids, get off my lawn." The moon making a trine, think of the moon as a kind neighbor going over to him and saying, "Here's some lemonade, Harry, and they're just kids, aren't they cute? Remember when you were a kid?" Softening and buttering up the crotchety old man on the corner, so that the betterment of life, the flourishing of life can carry on. I hope that analogy made sense. Basically, the moon is softening Saturn for the big changes that are about to occur, okay? And the big one is another harmonious aspect, another trine between the Sun, ruler of Leo, and Leo is important, very pivotal in this, ruler of Leo, and is making a trine with Uranus. Uranus is in the sign of Aries, okay? And Uranus is in a retrograde status. The Sun is a positive energy. It's a creative, fast-moving, loving energy. And it's making a positive aspect with Uranus, which is an unpredictable energy. It's like the Loki of planets, okay? When you think of Uranus, think of unexpected changes, like, hey, what happens when I pull this line? Or what happens when I push this button? Well, I love chaos, that kind of thing. Loki, right? The trickster. Think of Uranus in that way. Good or bad, it just means unexpected changes. Anything unexpected can feel uncomfortable. Ultimately, I think it's for our betterment collectively. And here's why. There's so much happening in Leo right now with the sun making this aspect. It's huge. The sun is the ruler of Leo. The sun is in Leo. The solar eclipse is occurring in Leo. Mars is fueling Leo, okay? And the North Node is in Leo. What is the North Node? Every person, nation, collective soul, animal, situation, everything that has a natal chart has a South and a North Node. The South Node are those things we've mastered coming into this incarnation, so we know that. We graduated from that. The North Node are those attributes that we need to take on in order to make our soul's evolution, okay? So the North and the South Node fall in their appropriate respective zodiac or constellation signs, all right? For our collective soul at this time, our North Node is in the sign of Leo, which means we collectively need to take on the high octave attributes of Leo. These are things like confidence, not arrogance, confidence, autonomy, compassion, love, beauty, joy, creativity, the concept of the divine child, the sun, okay, Leo. If we take these on with these other aspects, we're definitely going to move on to the next level. So with these aspects occurring already on the natal chart, waiting for change to happen, and the solar eclipse occurring where the North Node is and where the sun is for this aspect, it basically is like putting lighter fluid on a bonfire. It's going to make what changes happen faster and bigger than expected. So again, we're talking about the macrocosm, the collective soul here. So watch the news around the 21st. There will be big changes, particularly in the western part of the world. So the UK and the United States likely will be impacted greatly by this eclipse. All right, I apologize. That was 12 minutes and 30 seconds of talking about the eclipse. Taurus, let's get into your reading, or the astrological aspects. So I'm going to do a 3-card pull based upon the supernal triangle, the supernal triangle of your respective tree of life. So if you follow the Kabbalistic tree of life, this would be, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Keter, Hokmah, and Binah. If you follow the Kemetic tree of life, this would be Amenasor, Tehuti, and Sekert. In psychology, this would be the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. So we'll refer to it that way, since not everybody follows tree of life schematic. So what do we need to know? What does Taurus need to know for August 2017? Venus being in Cancer for the majority of the month, and then for the latter part of the month being in Leo. What does Taurus need to know considering both of the eclipses and the Mercury retrograde that's occurring? I hope I mentioned that. I think I did. 12th through the 5th, 12th of August through the 5th of September. Don't sign any contracts. What does Taurus, ruled by Venus, need to know as it relates to all of these heavy changes in the sky? They'll impact all of us, but what wisdom can you give Taurus specifically? One more. Superconscious. What's the mess? Oh, there we go. Give up the fight. So the 7 of Wands is Leo in Aries. No, sorry, is Mars in Leo, which Mars is in Leo, but you got it in reverse. So whatever you've been holding on to and fighting for, God's source is telling you to let it go. What's on Taurus's mind for the month of August 2017? What do we need to point out? What does God's source need to point out that's been weighing on Taurus's mind? Oh, that's not it. There we go. Six of Pentacles. That's not surprising. Your ruling planet is Venus. Venus is definitely about value, comfort, the lovely sensual things. But the Six of Pentacles in the upright is about charity. It's also, if you notice it, it's also about being in a position to help people. Okay? So what's consciously on your mind is the importance of being in a position to help other people, whether it's your family, being in a position to be taken care of, the simple basic things in life as well as the finer things in life. And Taurus likes the finer things in life. And it looks like you want to be in this position. Well, who doesn't, right? But it's very much on your mind lately. To be in a position of such foundation and power that you are able to give of what you have to others. Cash to spend and cash to share, basically. That's what you're looking at. That's what you're focused on. So let's see if we can get more clarification on that. Finally, what is subconscious trying to tell you? What are dreams and symbols and those weird connections that we make through situations, taking the wrong turn, daydreams, songs that come on the radio, words that people say that make you think. What does Taurus need to know? Hey, your card. Subconscious is reminding you of your own nature, the Hierophant. This is on your mind. Stability, foundation, the ability to have enough wealth to share the wealth. Subconscious is basically telling you that you have this. So the Hierophant is about institutions. It's about things like I mentioned earlier, like government. See, it's a papal figure. Okay, but it's definitely about foundational institution, whether that's the church or government or what have you. And you like this sturdy, stable foundation. You like the security of that foundation. What I'm not clear on here is why Valor's in reverse. What is this fight that you need to give up? So I'm going to seek some clarification on this. I'm going to do the witches' runes. What is this Mars in Leo release? This valor, this fighting the good fight. Why are we giving this up? What are you trying to say with this? Is it related to what's on the mind and what subconscious is explaining? What's the fight that we need to give up here? So you received the Venus. It's interesting. Wow, this is kind of all about you here. Definitely about you. You received the Venus rune. There we go. Okay, it's known as the woman's rune, but that's mainly because Venus is a female sign. It's associated with either Taurus or Libra because both of those signs are ruled by Venus. And this really has to do with, well, there's a few things actually. It has to do with women's mysteries, with creativity, but let me see if something jumps out at me here. Well, it's coming, okay, so it's definitely intended for you. There's some fight you have to give up. I wish I knew more about what it was. I'll pull an archetype card as well. But there's some kind of fight that Spirit is telling. You may know what I'm talking about right now without me clarifying, but it's definitely pointing to you, Taurus. You're ruled by Venus. This is Venus's rune, and it basically says in the description, look for interesting information about Taurus's, where the message is coming through for Taurus or for Libra. So there's some fight that you need to give up. These are the archetype cards. They are loosely, and I emphasize loosely, based on Jungian archetypes. What does Taurus need to know for August 2017, Spirit? You communicated the need for Taurus or Venus-ruled signs or women's mysteries, creativity, to give up some kind of a fight. Something that they've invested a lot of fiery emotion and energy in. What do they need to release? What's the fight that they need to give up? They need some clarification. Perhaps Taurus knows what this is. I don't. Okay, 2 more. Sorry, yours is going on a while. So is everybody's this month. They'll be shorter when there's less going on astrologically. 7. All right. Taurus. God. What are you trying to tell Taurus? What are we trying to give up here? What fight? What are we giving up? Whoa. I don't think that counts. There we go. Okay. You got the Mystic card in reverse. When it's in reverse, that means we take on the shadow aspect of the archetype. The archetype on the upright here. Okay. The light attribute of the archetype Mystic is revel in intimate union with the divine. However, the shadow attribute is a delusional rapport with the divine. Excuse me. Because we got it in reverse, it looks as though God Source is communicating to you that you might be misunderstood. It's really confusing. This is basically saying you're misinterpreting messages from the divine, and we're looking for clarification on what the fuck the divine's telling us here to do. Again, you may know what this means, Taurus. This is definitely for you. There's some fight you need to give up. Maybe it involves a Leo or an Aries. Some fight you need to give up. It looks as though it might have something to do with spirituality. With this kind of clarification of saying we need to release the delusional rapport that we believe we have with the divine. So perhaps there are things that we're misinterpreting the divine's telling us. So if you are a light worker, or I hate using that word, if you are if you're a spiritual person, a spiritual worker, you may be misinterpreting information, and you might be fighting some kind of a fight based on the information you think you understand that Spirit is giving you, or Spirit is conveying to you. You might have the information wrong. So these two, I believe, are related to each other. This one is a different level. There's some fight that you've been going on with for a while that has to do with spirituality, that has to do with divinity. I believe that Spirit is telling you it's time to release that fight. So maybe you are engaging in some kind of an argument with people, a person, group of people, maybe a single person, where you're trying to convince them of a spiritual ideal. Spirit is saying either the manner in which you're going about it, or the message that you think you're getting from Spirit is off. So release this fight. Release whatever this fight is that you're having, that you're trying to hold on to and maintain a position regarding spirituality with a group of people, one other person, maybe even with yourself. Because Spirit is saying you may not have the answer right, or you may not have all the information. And you know, with Mercury being in retrograde during the month of August, this is possible. So focus here on the tangible world. Never not focus on spiritual. That's something that's there. But whatever this need to be right, or this need to change people or get people on board with something spiritually, you need to let go of. I hope that made sense. I'm really sorry. Yours is very long, like everyone else's. I think that's about all we can clarify on that 7 of Wands in reverse. So maybe don't focus on that fight so much. Let that go. That spiritual fight, or that need to convince someone of something that's of import spiritually to you, and maintain your spirituality. But it looks like right now you're in the physical world. You're definitely looking at finances, your foundations, your corporation that you're building, if that makes sense. The corporation of you. All right. I think that's all I've got to tell you. I apologize, this was waffly and long. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you would like a personal reading, feel free to email me at mememes@hotmail.com. That email address is in the description box below the video. I'll be back for the lunation videos for the full and the new moon. And that's it. So take care of yourself during this very, very busy time in August with the eclipses. And with, don't forget, Mercury retrograde. Take care, Taurus. Bye.